Hi, today we're going to talk about perennials. I get asked lots of questions about perennials. People are maybe a little confused if they're not a very good gardener. What's a perennial? What's an annual? When does a perennial bloom? I hear lots of things like that. Does it come back? Okay, so a perennial is something that you need to get into the ground, get the roots established so it can come back. This is the deal about a perennial though. Most perennials only bloom a very short time. Like the bearded iris are a perennial and they bloom very early spring. Okay, annuals are what is the luxury to me, that you have all this beautiful color all summer long. So an annual is going to bloom all summer. So when you bring it home, say like April and May, you're going to have these beautiful blooms all the way to the frost takes it. Okay, your perennial is going to bloom just boom one time in your garden. That way, it gives you a little surprises throughout your garden. And a perennial will multiply and get bigger. So after the first couple years, you let it go. But maybe the third year, you can divide it and then you can give it to a friend or put it throughout your yard. There's lots of benefits of having perennials because lots of them actually are pollinators. And pollinators, of course, are your friends to your garden. And there's some things, such as this Ignatia, which is one of my favorites. It blooms in a couple different colors, and it's a very big bee pollinator. So it has a very sweet, soft smell, and it blooms its little head off. So you're going to get blooms probably like May, June, and July. Now it may be done a little bit later on. It may give you a little color showing in the fall, not always. But Ignatia is tall and kind of bushy, but a very, very good pollinator. We have it in this beautiful lavender mauve color, and we have a beautiful yellow color. So it's a bigger one, and it gets kind of bushy. The thing about perennials, you leave them alone, get them planted, get them established, and really you don't have to do much. You can cut on them and bring them inside, because you know how I love to do that. And Ignatia or Agastacia works very good with that you can bring it inside. So that is kind of one of the annuals that does very well. Okay, our second one is probably in my top 5. Good old coneflower, Ignatia. Ignatia actually comes in lots of beautiful colors. This one is a wild berry. And they come in orange and yellows and whites and lavenders. Ignatia is one of the toughest things that once you put in your yard, it really does very well. It gets established really quickly and it can really multiply fast. It's a wonderful cut flower. It can take a lot of heat, a little bit of droughtness, works very good too. So Ignatia is fabulous. Scabiosa, look at her. She's beautiful. Scabby is low to the ground. She works well in landscape. She isn't crazy, so she does very good. Beautiful, sweet little lavender orchid colored blooms. They do great as a cut, so I use them a lot for cut stuff. But they stay low, compact, and you don't have to deadhead them or clean them up or anything. They just work great. So that's Scabiosa. Ajuga. Ajuga does extremely well in the shade. It's going to spread really nice. It's very low. It's considered a ground cover, and it actually is like a tricolor. A little bit of white, a little bit of lavender, a little bit of green in it. It does extremely well. It will cascade like over an edge, things like that. I had it around an old fish pond one time, and I loved it because it softened up my edges of my rocks. So Ajuga is a wonderful ground cover. Cucula, oh my gosh, corbels. We grow lots and lots of different color. I love that it has a burgundy leaf on the back side. It's fuzzy, and then it has the green leaf. Beautiful, rich foliage. When it blooms like a sprout up here. Beautiful, sweet, little, tiny, delicate little flowers. This does very well in sun. So if it says sun for a perennial, it's probably going to need at least 6 to 8 hours is what you're going to be classified for a sun perennial. Shade is 3 to 4, and like under a tree or up against your house would be like considered shade. Okay, this is my #1 perennial, lavender. Years ago, I did a formal garden at the house, and I had 60 lavender plants that I had planted. They're pretty tough to get established because they want the worst soil that you could possibly have in your yard. They want rocky, sandy, gritty, yucky. They don't want that beautiful, rich, thick, beautiful soil. They want it the worst that you could possibly put. So since I have beautiful soil in the Midwest where I live, I took sand and a bunch of rocks and I threw it in there. Lavender does not like to be wet. So I had a low spot in that formal garden and I lost about 20% of them. So I had to go back and replant them the following year. But they want to be a little bit more mounded and a little bit more drier. This actually is called Super Blue, and it's just starting to bloom, but I can already smell the beautiful foliage, the fragrance off the foliage. Oh, smells beautiful. So lavender is great. It just takes a while to get established, but once you get established, there's nothing prettier. Good cut, bring it in and throw it in a vase. Works good. Okay, garden flock. This is the tall garden flock. There's creeping flock that is beautiful early spring. It blooms. When people see it blooming like in March, people start coming in the greenhouses. What's blooming? What is that blooming around a tree? And it's very low to the ground. It's called creeping flock. It does extremely well here in the Midwest. But this is the garden flock. This to me is the epitome of a beautiful perennial bed when you got a little garden flock put in there. It reminds me of my grandma. My grandmother had a lot of garden flock. It comes in like shades of pinks and whites. Very easy to get established. It multiplies very nicely. After several years, you should have a nice big thick patch of it. I love this hot pink. The first year is a little spindly, but the next year it gets even better. So this is something that's really worth putting in and it pays off in the long run. Okay, my last one we're going to talk about today is Manardia Bomb. I love bee balm. I love the little head that it has on there. Now there's no fragrance. Looks like there should be. There's really not one. But once it gets established, it has all these buds coming on. It likes sun. It stays a little bit more compact. It doesn't get real crazy. Sometimes you get perennials that just get way out of hand. There's nothing worse when the next couple of springs, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to dig it up and move it because it's too big. This guy, he doesn't do that. Bee balm will stay right where you put it. It won't journey over to the neighbors or anything like that. But the colors are spectacular. Great pollinator, a super pollinator. And of course it does bring the honeybees because of its nickname. But yeah, the Manardia Bee Balm does extremely well. It comes in a couple different colors. I always gravitate towards this magenta colors. I think it looks fabulous. The best thing is to get your perennials when you get them in the spring is to plant them and kind of maintain them through the summer months. You're going to have to water if you don't get rain. Go out there and check it. It may need water once a month. Perennials do better like out in the open and where you can maintain the mulch with them. I have one area in the back of the yard that I just put them like in this big open area and I just have mulch in between them. I don't have the rock and the weed barrier down. But there's nothing more exciting in the spring when you walk through your yard and you see a little one emerging from the winter months. You're like, oh, look at that. That's great. So perennials are a wonderful asset to your garden, but you just have to be patient when they bloom. So I hope that helps you tell you what an annual does and what a perennial does. So I hope that you plant a bunch and you get to enjoy them. We'll see you the next time. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my channel.